Hi, you are watching SightsIn Plus and this is Romesh Shivastu. Please do subscribe the channel for the HR news, for HR updates and conversation with the topmost CHROs. Today we are going to discuss about the breach of ethical code. That is very sensitive subject. You can also call it the code of conduct. I'm sure you must have gone through the news in media about TCS job scam, and after that, Tata Steel has also terminated around 38 employees based on the breach of ethical code. And after that, the Tata Group chairman, Mr. N. Chandrasekaran, he came in media and shared a couple of informations. He said that the Tata Group has received around 875 complaints in last fiscal year. And if you look at the breakup of these complaints, so around 158 complaints were related to the whistleblower, 48 complaints were regarding the safety, and the highest number of complaints is 669 on the these complaints were on the HR and the other behavioral issues. So that is also the cause of concern because highest number of complaints are on HR. Also, I would like to put here a disclaimer that we are saying this, that is a TCS job scam, but according to the TCS, which has filed a return as well to the National Stock Exchange and Bombay Stock Exchange, and they said that this is not the job scam, this is just a breach of ethical code and no loss of the financial transactions is there. To discuss in detail, today we have a panel of two senior HR leaders. Let me introduce Dr. GP Rao. Dr. GP Rao is a founder and managing partner of GPR HR Consulting, and Mr. Praveen Purohit. Praveen is the Vice President and Deputy Group CHRO at Vedanta Resources Limited. So, Praveen, if I come to you first, so in your opinion, what is the breach of ethical code and how do you see this Tata Group case?
Thank you, Romesh, and nice seeing you. Nice to catch up. Maybe this is very interesting topic because I personally believe that it impacts the business as a whole when we hear this kind of stories running in the organization or in the larger parlance. To me, all the businesses have their code of conduct, which are beyond the requirement of the law, and anything which is violated towards the written code of conduct, I think that is the breach of ethics to my mind. And what we have seen in current organization, what you have talked about, I think it discourages the entire ecosystem, and to my mind, somewhere uh, the credibility of organization also gets hampered to an extent when we come out with such kind of the stories which happens. So maybe I think for an organization it's a setback sometimes, but it's all about coming back with a kind of communication, giving your side of message to the larger organization, what we stands for, and how it impacts the entire ecosystem at large. So that's what my thinking is. But all in all, I think as a kind of organization, it impacts a lot when we hear this kind of messages running around in the organization.
And Dr. GP Rao, how do you see this case and what is the breach of ethical code in your opinion?
Thank you, Ramesh and Praveen, for raising this issue that is bothering the industry as a whole and HR world in particular. Personally, I have a lot of respect for Tata's group, and if at all it is true, it's not fortunate, it's unfortunate. I hope it is just an unfortunate exception. Since we do not know the real truth, in Hindi we call it, one is Kathya, one other is the Tathya, third is the Satya. We do not know the truth, so we'll wait. But then a little damage has happened. Reputation is being questioned. The people, employees are getting a little frustrated, feeling bad. So that's the unfortunate part of it is. Having said all that, is we all must need to be ethical. I mean, the message is there is a concern. People do not want to do anything unethical. That's the positive side of it is everybody, all stakeholders says we must do business ethically. We must do our karma based on dharma. So that is the positive side I'm seeing, that jagriti, that awareness, that consciousness, the demand, that expectation that we must have ethics in business. That's the positive side of it. But then these kind of unfortunate incidents, they bring damage to reputation, they bring damage to a particular profession. It creates a kind of embarrassment and frustration. So on the whole, it's unfortunate. I wish it's a very unfortunate exception.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Absolutely. We must appreciate Tata Group for this because they've at least accepted the numbers, they've accepted the cases. Otherwise, the scams in recruitment, scams in land acquisition, corruption in construction, these are very common. And most of the companies, they're putting the things under the carpet and they are just terminating to the culprit. And maybe just because of the fear of losing reputation, etc. But we must appreciate here, at least the Tata Group has registered the cases, the inquiry is going on, and everything is going on in a proper way, and they are trying to set a precedence. So we must appreciate.
I agree, Ramesh. Tatas have shown their character. There is a blame, there is an accusation. So they immediately shifted the people out and they have taken action. So till they prove themselves not guilty, so the investigation is on. So that's the character of an organization. Since there is an accusation, so we must clear it. Till we clear it, there is a scam, there is a spot. So they said, you are out, the others are in. So I must appreciate, I really agree with you. So their faith, their commitment to ethics is unquestionable. And this once again, they've come out and shown their character.
Yeah, Praveen, if you look at the numbers, so maximum number of complaints are against the HR. 669 out of 875 complaints are against the HR. So this is one of the concern. Second, most of the committees, generally, code of conduct and ethical code committees, these are administered by the HR leaders. So in such a case, how can we expect a fair inquiry?
Ramesh, if you ask me, since we are talking about the HR number, which you have indicated, that becomes a kind of worrisome. But maybe if you pick up some other functions as well, I think the numbers would fall in that bucket as well. And we keep hearing in organizations, you come across this kind of gaps, probably in a commercial kind of, on the buying side, on the selling side, and many verticals. So this keep coming in. But the way I think Rao Saab has said, as an organization, it's very important how boldly we come out, how do we communicate, how do we create a kind of awareness in the entire ecosystem, which helps us from the futuristic perspective. I think the whole objective of the entire management for that, from that point of view, is how do we prevent it? How do we prevent it going forward that such kind of things are not repeated? I think that's the endeavor we all, look forward to.
Ramesh and Praveen, I see from two angles. If the number of cases or accusations or complaints against HR, if the number has gone up, it's a cause of concern. For any profession, for that matter, I will not compare with this profession or that profession. Any profession, that's not good. That's not encouraging. But having said that, the positive side of it is there is a lot greater consciousness. There is a greater awareness. There is greater opportunity. Windows are open. Channels are open. Ombudsman is active. People come forward and talk about it. So that is the positive side of it. I'm not justifying that HR there should be cases, or we compare with anything. So that is unfortunate. The positive side is the consciousness, awareness, jagrati, opportunities to ventilate your point of view. So that is gone up. So that's the positive side of it. But I'm with both of you that these things should not happen, and there should be greater commitment to follow ethics in business. And HR has got a greater role, because we are supposed to be the champions and protectors, nurturers of culture in organization. We have a greater role, so we have to be, everybody should be clean. We have to be more clean.
More cleaner. we need to demonstrate it, since we are the custodian of the values and policies. I agree with you, Rao sir, completely.
Praveen, you represent a big organization. So how do you manage the code of conduct, code of ethics in your organization?
I think, yes, Ramesh, few fundamental has to prevail. That's what my mind says. You need to have a framework in place. You need to have a structure in place. And there are few things probably we do in our organization which helps us in working towards this kind of subjects. While I would, say that you keep getting this kind of, complaints as part of your whistleblower policies, what you have in place, and we encourage, if anything is happening wrong across the organization, we tell our people that please come forward and report it. I think that's the success of any organization, and the whole objective is those kind of complaints helps us in plugging the gap, and how this cannot be repeated. So maybe a few things, if you ask me. One, open door policy sounds very traditional, sounds very conservative, but believe me, it still works very, very effectively. It works. If you allow your people to raise hand, come talk to you, a lot of problem get resolved. Number one. Number two, I think especially in our organization, what we have seen is we give a lot of importance to the way I said whistleblower scheme, whistleblower policy, and people have access to it. They can share whatever suggestions, inputs, complaints, feedback they have, and it is taken very seriously. There is a separate committee which sees all the inputs comes as part of whistleblower email, and that works very effectively for us. Number three, I think somewhere you need to demonstrate few things as part of your way of life. For example, we don't appreciate, or we encourage rather, that whenever we have any external meeting or when we meet any of the partners, it should not be one-on-one. It should be done along with a team. Couple of people should be there in those kind of discussion when you have a kind of negotiation or contract discussion. It sounds very simple, but it works a lot when people come together. Number two, if you ask me, I think when you have a very strong policy, which we have in our company, which is called job rotation, I think wherever there are sensitive roles, it's part of the mandatory policy that people are moved after 3 years of completion of that role, and they get an opportunity to move into elevated role in a new function or in a new organization. You have that kind of opportunities available, and that helps in kind of preventing a lot of things probably which can happen. And finally, the third point, if you ask me, somewhere you should not hesitate in taking help of the global business partners who can help you in terms of creating best framework and the program which can help you to make your process and systems robust. I think that helps when you have a large organization spread across geographies.
And Dr. GP Rao, I think you have more than 4 decades of experience in human resources, and I'm sure you must have seen a couple of cases related to the breach of ethical code. So first, I would like to know that why such kind of the cases come up, and how, second, how we can prevent from such cases of the ethical codes.
People, there are very great cases of best practices, like Praveen said, whistleblower policy, or ombudsman, setting examples, the company policies, practices which prevent an unethical practice, all are good. I'm trying to summarize the whole thing. The first step any organization should do is that we believe in ethics, this is ethical, this is not unethical or not ethical. That clarity should be there in the organization. That means awareness, communication, expectation setting right before employment, induction, during employment. That must be hammered time and again. The company's commitment to ethics, clear communication in no uncertain terms. Number two is the scope for raising an issue, raising a complaint. That complaint window, that has to be genuine. It is not for saying sake, not for an annual report, not for a conference room. These policies like ombudsman or a whistle-blowing policy or a skip level meeting or a 360 feedback, all those things have to be done genuinely. The third part is, if you come across there is an inkling of a person getting unethical before he really does it, ability of the manager and the HR to spot those indications, somebody's weakness, somebody's a little negligence in following the ethical policy intentionally or unintentionally. You have to catch him there and then counsel him. So that is the third step. First is the communication, second is the complaint mechanism, the third is the counseling. The fourth is corrective action. People, when you catch hold of somebody doing an ethical practice, what is the end result? If you don't take action, people not believe in those first three steps. So corrective action, exemplary action, fair action, uniform action. I said corrective action, exemplary action, uniform action, timely action. So that has to be there. And the last bit I want to tell you is, we don't communicate that action we have taken. We try to keep it again hiding. No, if you talk about it more, that can be a badnami, that can be a frustration, or it can bring up. No, if you have removed a person on account of integrity, talk about it. Let the world know, let others know. I mean, there's nothing wrong. These things happen. After all, while you do business, while you do operations, something can go wrong. What is important is we have corrected it. We do not like that to happen. We'll prevent it. That communication is also important. This is what I recommend to people. I have seen organizations, many organizations, able to do these things, some to some extent. But I'm so happy that organizations are doing their best to follow these and minimize, prevent these kind of incidents.
So, Praveen, if you look at the code of conduct, so generally it is the values of the organization. Don't go beyond the values of organization. What the employer expects from the employee, that is the code of conduct actually. Not only the theft as scams, that also includes the behavior of employer. What would be the behavior of employer? So, as a larger organization, what should be the right grievance redressal mechanism?
Ramesh, I think the way I have just indicated, maybe the structure and policies have to be in place when you have such a large organization and when you have hundreds and thousands of people associated with you. So whistleblower policy is one, of course. That's a very strong. We have seen works very well in an organization. Apart from that, of course, I think from HR point of view, if you ask me, there has to be a kind of training program. I really liked what Mr. Rao indicated, at the beginning, that what are do's and don'ts in your organization. That has to be very explicitly, communicated to the larger fraternity, larger organization, and it should not be said once, but time and again it should be echoed, amplified in the company. That can help you a lot. And the third part is, the corrective actions. The corrective actions plays a very important role when you get to know that, this kind of gaps exist in your organization. How do we immediately take a corrective actions? And those corrective actions are communicated back to the larger organization. And I will tell you, just moving away a bit from code of conduct, but this also applies when you have a safety culture in the organization. Safety also plays a very important role. And we have seen that whenever in any of our businesses some lapses or safety incidents have happened, immediately we pick up that why this has happened, how we could have prevented, and you immediately share it with a larger organization across the group so that it doesn't get repeated, it doesn't happen in that place. So maybe I think communication, corrective actions, and sometimes very important, we should not hesitate in naming and shaming if somebody has done wrong. I think you should not hesitate, and you should do that so that the people, those who are involved in such, or even if they think, they get out of such kind of actions. That's my thinking, Ramesh.
Dr. GP Rao, this may be one of the case which has come in media. And apart from this, if you look at the government's effort to create, great business environment and ease of doing business, so government is also putting a lot of effort. And according to data by World Competitiveness Index 2022, the India has jumped 6th position from 43rd rank to 37th rank. So this is one of the good information I wanted to share with our viewers. We tried to discuss about the Tata Group case. We tried to discuss about the breach of ethical code. Anything else would like to share which is important and we did not discuss here as a concluding remark?
Going forward, when you do the HRD audit, when you do HRD awards, when you certify great places to work, all these awards they are giving, there should be a greater weightage to the ethics in the organization. So ethics policy, ethic practices, cases of complaints, how they resolve, how connection, this should be there. So this, I'm not saying we do it for an award sake, but I'm saying this will help you in setting up the processes. So that is one recommendation I'm doing. The second recommendation is in our internal annual appraisal system, annual promotion system, we should give greater weightage to integrity. And the best way to get an evaluation integrity is 360-degree feedback done in a confidential manner. These are the two thoughts I immediately occur to mind. I am recommending to my fellow HR colleagues. So I'm also putting that in public.
Yeah, Dr. GP Rao, I think these are the great recommendations. And Praveen, what are your closing comments?
What comes to my mind is, just of course, I think this is a great recommendation. A lot of weightage has to be given when you when you give awards of this nature. I think the weightage for this particular thing is much above safety and ethics. I think it needs to be paramount apart from the other various policies and practices which you have in your organization, and that's the best thing, no doubt about it. But I think regular talking about it. Maybe I'm using the word again. Training is important, and nowadays you have a lot of good system, online modules available, and you can customize the way you want. But many a times, what happens that just on the pro side of our people are not aware that what is right and what is not right. So maybe through certain questions, through certain case studies, if you can take them through those kind of program, it helps them. And once they undergo that kind of test, they understand that, okay, I was not aware that I should not be doing this. But now, my answer says that, it's wrong. Probably it should be other way around. So those kind of program can help a lot. I think it's just part of the awareness, but it is very important. And finally, if you ask me, Ramesh, I think it takes a lot of time to build the credibility. It takes years and years, decades and decades to build the reputation and credibility. But when यानी this sort of thing happens, वो कुछ ही मिनटों में, पलों में टूट जाता है, एक ट्रस्ट टूट जाता है. तो बहुत ही जरूरी है, the way I think we all discussed right from the beginning, people has to understand, and I'm just borrowing the word what Ram Saab keep telling us, कि people have to understand जवाबदारी भी हमारी होती है, जिम्मेदारी भी होती है when you are part of this organization, and you should live by that. You should live by that value. I think in today's context, I personally feel companies gives all sort of benefits. I think the salaries are very high quality. The benefits are of very high quality. What else do you need? Why you need to do wrong things when you get everything what you need, and sometimes maybe more than what you deserve? I'm just saying, In that case, I think it's the only thing which you can live by is live by the value, live by the system, give your best. I think that can, give you a lot of happiness, I personally feel.
I think we had a great conversation and tried to justify the subject. Thank you so much, Dr. GP Rao and Praveen, for joining the conversation and being the part of this. Thank you so much.